Hey guys, how's it going? It's me, Yoko from Japan. Welcome back to my channel. For those who are new here, I am Yoko. I'm Japanese. I was born and raised here in Japan, and I've lived all my life here in my mother country. And I am also the very first person who publicly published that I support President Trump. So you can say that I'm the very first Trump supporter in Japan. So with that being said, let's talk about the shooting in New Zealand, or rather, it's not about the shooting itself. Actually, I'm gonna talk about the reactions of people regarding this shooting, because the argument in the US right now regarding this shooting is so ridiculous that I can't stand it. Like, I'm in Japan, but I can't stand it all the way from here. So I thought I would talk about it today. So this video is the reaction of the shooting. Anyway, as I was collecting information regarding this issue, I was actually watching the video posted on Fox News channel on YouTube, and I saw Acting Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney, who I stood on the same stage with. I was watching him speak. If I remember correctly, he was saying that there are people in the US who want to blame President Trump for everything that's bad. It can be anything. People just want to blame him. And if you have been watching my videos for a while now, you know that there are people like that here in Japan as well, who blame our Prime Minister Shinzo Abe for everything bad or everything that they don't like. They are, of course, leftists in Japan. They often get attracted to conspiracy theories, and they sometimes even say the natural disasters like earthquakes are because of our Prime Minister Abe. And today, what the leftists in the US are saying is that the shooting in New Zealand is because of President Trump. Like, are you freaking serious? Why are you justifying his action, his crime? Oh boy. You know what the criminal said about President Trump? A symbol of renewed white identity and common purpose, which is politically wrong. That's the typical dumb analysis made up by leftists. And you can see that the criminal in New Zealand actually bought it, and he made it the reason to kill people. President Trump is not a symbol of white supremacy or white identity. It has nothing to do with whiteness. Actually, people on the right side in the United States have to acknowledge that as well. So I'll talk about it later, but those who believe that the criminal killed people for white supremacist ideas, are they going to blame China as well? Because the criminal mentioned China. If he's aligned with China and he was influenced by China, they have to be bashing China as well, as much as they bash President Trump. But I don't see that happening, so they just want to blame President Trump. Isn't it like, isn't it really ugly of them to do that? Because they are actually using people's death to blame President Trump. It's so inappropriate seen by me. So how I see the shooting is that here's what happened. The criminal had twisted justice. He had this belief that's morally and socially wrong, and by twisted, what I mean is that he was not looking for justice. He might think that he was looking for something good by killing people, but what he was actually psychologically doing was that he wanted to kill people, and he imposed that idea to justify his action, which is a crime, which is to kill people. It's the criminal's mind that we're talking about here. How I see is that the criminal is not even an extremist. He's just a criminal. End of the story. I don't know how, really, that there are people actually listening to the criminal. Somebody that took lives. Is it like 50 people? Like so many people's lives. People are actually listening to the person's justification and spreading that to the world and blaming President Trump. Like, what the heck is going on? Looking at this situation the US is in right now, I think that the American people need to check fundamental things, like especially these two things. One, the relation between Trump administration and Islam, and two, Wilsonianism. The first thing, Islam, of course, people associate President Trump or Trump administration as anti-Islam. Is that true though? What I see is that Trump administration is only anti terrorism, not anti-Muslim. President Trump repeated his words on Islam because he is talking about security. I remember the ban against Muslim nations. They did that because, not saying that all terrorists come from outside, but you should do everything you can to stop terrorism. And people can criticize all they want, but what they need to realize is the fear that they have. They're accusing President Trump for how he handles Islam and so on, but the Muslims in the US, are they like captured and put into camps right now? No. But in China, they do. China, they actually oppress other nations around China, and they say, oh, it's China, right? They're expansionists. They claim that all the lands around China is China whatsoever, and they oppress Muslim people, and they actually do put them into camps. Innocent people, and innocent people's family and friends and everybody involved. And there are more and more people gather and put into camps, and people are dying there. Regarding that, Trump administration is bashing China for putting Muslim into camps, right? And seeing that, how can people say that Trump administration or President Trump is anti-Islam? What? Just racism in general as well. You know the history. I hate to bring this up, but people talk about it often. So Japanese people were put into camps during the World War II. But look at what President Trump is doing today. He doesn't discriminate Japanese people. He doesn't put Japanese people into camps. His best friend is Shinzo Abe, our prime minister. Like, such bromance, man. Like, what part of President Trump is white supremacy? Like, I don't see anything. Like, the only thing that President Trump is going against is illegal immigrants. You have to follow the laws. There are consequences if your parents commit crimes, which is to break the laws. There will be consequences, and for that, you don't blame the current administration, you blame your parents. As I said earlier though, some Trump supporters do need to check they understand Trump administration's policy fully, because I don't think that everybody does. So I've never thought of President Trump as white supremacist. On the other hand though, being Japanese, I really feel that those anti-Trump people are racists. During the presidential campaign, I would follow all the media outlets in the US on Facebook, and I would sometimes write comments supporting President Trump from Japan. And you know what happened? Liberal people, like people on the left, they come bash me. And they make racial jokes. I remember it now, and I'm like, oh, I freaking hate them. It's so freaking low, like elementary school level or even lower, because I have different opinions from them, those leftists in the US. They were telling me stuff like, oh, I'm gonna nuke you again. Oh, do you want to be put in camps? And all the nasty jokes regarding the World War II. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember feeling that I am so glad that I'm not living in the US. Like, those leftists can be really nasty. It's just how leftists are though. And Japanese people today, especially Japanese conservatives, are angry at something. One of the things is actually racism. And don't judge me here. Listen to everything I have to say, okay? What Japanese conservatives bring up often is what happened in 1919 at the Paris Peace Conference. That's where Japan offered the racial equality proposal. And it was the very first time that such a proposal came up regarding racism or white supremacy. And guess what happened? It was rejected by the US. But what do we mean by the US? We mean the president at the time, Thomas Woodrow Wilson, who was, of course, a Democrat. Woodrow Wilson is really starting to be hated by Japanese conservatives because we are learning more and more about what really happened in the past. You probably know history better than I do, but Woodrow Wilson is somebody that dragged the US into war. The World War I, even though there were no valid reasons. With democracy, freedom, and human rights, Woodrow Wilson agitated the US citizens who didn't want wars. He was justifying the idea of going into war. As a result of his selfish, poor leadership, lots of young American soldiers were sacrificed. That also resulted in a Bolshevik revolution in Russia and also the birth of Nazi Germany. Do people actually review the history and see what really happened? Because Wilson was agitating people with democracy, freedom, and human rights. But look what happened because of him. It's not only his fault, but he took a big part. His political decisions created the root of all the problems that are happening in the world today. Like, that's the foundation. And Wilsonianism is just carried on today. Who are carrying it on? Democrats in the US. They are Wilson's babies, you know? They don't even realize that because they don't study. Ignorance might be a bliss, but ignorance is sin in the world today. So leftists are carrying on Wilsonianism, and who is trying to cut it? President Trump! Oh, like, how do people not see this? Those who are bashing Trump is actually destroying the US. They are making all the bad influence to the world. Those who are agitated by the leftist media's narrative and so on, they think that they are doing something good, but they're actually working for the very enemy that they have. And that's just so ridiculous. And that's the ridiculousness that I'm seeing looking at the US today. And I am really hoping that by posting videos like this, more American people will question what they believe in. Because the belief that you have is imprinted. Just like people in Japan as well. I have to wake the F up to understand what's really going on. I studied. Without the attitude of pick and choosing the correct information together with the knowledge of the past, meaning history, without those you cannot survive this world. Bad people, evil people in the world today, or at any time actually, they use the good intent of people. So you have to stop being naive, right? Oh, and look at the social media today, man. The shooter was broadcasting it live or something, right? And those social media companies couldn't handle it well because it just spread. Meanwhile, they ban or shadow ban people like myself. Like, my Facebook is not doing well right now. Like, I have like 8,000 people following me and my post doesn't even get one like. Like, I get 1 or 2 likes and I'm like, what? Like, it's not like people are mean to me, like they want my information. Somehow it's not reaching, and I have a feeling that it might be a shadow ban, or I don't know, the algorithm. I'm not gonna judge quickly, but there are like huge problems that social media companies have to deal with, and they keep their hands full by trying to silence like opinionated people, thinking that we are the dangerous ones. That people should believe in others, you know? The people are not so bad, right? And there are sometimes crazy people, but nowadays, especially battery died once. I actually have 2 batteries. Battery! Anyway, that's about it. Anyway, I really hope that you guys are doing well. Regardless of all these crazy people and crazy narratives that you see on media. I just want you to know that there are people in the whole world that understand you. There are people that stand with you. Like, if you are caught up in political arguments, you might misjudge the world. But just remember, we've got each other. So just don't lose the hope that people... There's a man on the building, like on the rooftop. I hope he doesn't jump. one thing to keep in mind is the media is business and they want dramatic things, something dramatic to attract people's attention. Attention is what makes money today, especially in this modern era. So they will always focus on conflicts and nasty things and so on, but please keep in mind that it's just their business. There are people that choose ignorance or that choose stupidity, so leave them, and it's not your job to try to educate them. It's their choice, so let's respect that. Let's just try to wake up everybody that's still sleeping. So I should go now. So if you liked this video, please subscribe. It's a hard word to pronounce for me. Please subscribe to this channel because that will make my day. I want subscribers, man. My Patreon, oh yeah, I have a Patreon account. If you can, please support me there. Those who have already subscribed, thank you. So I'm gonna go now, so have an amazing, fantastic day for me, okay? I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye!